headed to Fiji for the first time since I was 6. So that was incredible to be back there, and I loved it. I still love the atmosphere out there, the quiet atmosphere, I think. And I tried to go back to the place where we stayed too, but I just ended up on just off it in the water snorkeling around. I could see the beach where we stayed at. But I went rafting down a canyon there as well, and that was impressive. It's about I think it's the only place you can do that out there in those islands out there. Nowhere else has a canyon like that, and they use that for a few movies as well, like Anaconda and some other movies. And then went to the island where they shot Castaway, the movie with Tom Hanks in it, where he's trapped on this island. And we just had I think we were there for a few hours maybe, and I looked around and I could see the locations, and then there's the peak in the center of the island, and I saw a path just going to the bottom of it. I thought, oh, okay, you can just go and have a look at it. And then I saw that you could actually, I thought, yeah, you could make it up, and I had to go winding up very slowly around, but I made it up to the peak, up to the top, and it was incredible just the maneuvers I had to do to get up there, but stood on top like in the movie as well, and looked out over the ocean. And then after Fiji, after that nice experience in Fiji, I flew out to a really remote place where there's only one flight a week every Wednesday. Well, at this stage it was every Wednesday, and that flight continues on to Honolulu, Hawaii. But I was flying to Kiribati, and if you look at the spelling, it looks like it's spelled Kiribati or Kiritimati for Christmas as well, because the TI is an S. So I was heading to Christmas Island, and it's really isolated, and the highest point I think is about 17 meters elevation. And my plan was to walk around the whole thing, and it's about 120 k's. And I don't know if anyone has actually done that, because there's a population up one end of the island and then nothing in the rest. So you're totally isolated, and it's a desert environment as well. So there's no water around, and a French priest years ago planted a particular type of palm tree that has coconuts, and they're actually low to the ground. So there was that possibility as well. If I could find them, I could almost reach up and grab a coconut without having to climb a tree, just because of this particular species. And both the US and the British did a lot of nuclear testing there. Some of the bombs that they tested they say they're about 1,000 times stronger than what they dropped on Japan at the close of World War II. So there's radiation there's still radiation in the earth, I believe, and that affected people at the time as well. I mean, just the testing as well. There was nuclear fallout and stuff from all the testing that they did. I think it was in the 60s mostly. And anyway, my plan was to walk around the entire island, but a lot of people go there for fishing. It's really expensive to go there for fishing, just for that, but some people are just really obsessed, and they say it's amazing to fish there. So I got a boat to drop me at this particular point. I had 11 litres of water, some rice, cooked rice, a meal, basically. I had a meal and some peanut butter and a bit of bread as well, and some nuts too, some peanuts. So I had a 20 kilogram pack, because I had a medium format camera with me as well, and I started to walk along the coast, and that's always all I was going to do was follow the coast, and just started off, walked all day, and I'm fine walking in the sun and everything, but I was going through this deep sand at some point, and this is full exposure to the sun, but beautiful, pristine sand, because no one is there. There's absolutely not a single person there. So I was just by myself walking around, and then that evening I pitched my tent, and a crab stole one of my thongs, sandals, whatever you want to call them. We call them thongs. So I was left without shoes. Well, I had my shoes as well, but I started to walk barefoot, and that was okay. And I was covered up as well with kind of a bandana thing and long sleeves too, so I didn't have to worry about putting on sunscreen or anything. I just stayed out of the heat as much as possible. But it got so hot at one stage that I just lay in the water just to cool off for a little bit, and then kept on walking. And it took me about 4 days to get around there, just seeing all the environment around there, and the bird life. And there was even, it looked like a tortoise, a dead tortoise, just on the shore at one point. And I would watch the birds at sunrise too, and I saw a shark swimming along as well. But yeah, about 120 k's, shooting photos around there. And then once I got back to civilization, lots of people were trying to give me a lift back for the last 15-20 k's. But before that, my food ran out, and I was getting low on water as well. And it just happened that I found coconuts. I split them open, they had coconut water in them, enough coconut water. But another time there were small coconuts like this, and it was so amazing as well, because I asked back at the place I was staying if they could give me a knife, and they didn't have one, or they didn't give me one in the end. So I just had my little pocket knife that my dad gave me years ago. That saved me, because I chopped open the coconut, stabbed into it, and you can feel the pressure release like that, but it still hasn't released properly, hermetically sealed, so incredible. And then I stabbed it, so it did get into the coconut itself where the water was, and it squirted out as well. That it was just under that much pressure. And then I measured it. I had a bottle and I tipped it out, and it was 500 milliliters in these tiny coconuts. So beautiful. And I filled up, or I half filled a bottle with coconut water, but within 6 hours, it was already going bad. I should have actually just taken the coconuts themselves. And the coconut water was a little bit cool as well. But without that, I would have died. I'm quite sure I would have died, because I had no, I was going to run out of water. I would have needed to survive for about 2 days with nothing, without any coconut water. And so just luckily, one evening I found some as well that I just pulled down, some bigger ones too. And in another place I found some more, but it was, the coconut water was fermented. So that's what happened to the water that I gathered in the bottle. It just started to ferment almost immediately. Continued on anyway, and there was a few shipwrecks along the way too. And then, as I said, I got back to civilization, and there was a shop there too. So I got a fizzy drink. I think I got a couple of drinks, but I was done. I didn't even want them. I had a bit. I finished it, but really the coconut water was perfect with electrolytes and everything, and it didn't make me feel bad or anything. And I just kept my peanut butter. I didn't even have my peanut butter. I had the peanuts, but I had this big jar of peanut butter. I didn't even really have any, I don't think. And I threw away the rice, because that started to go bad too, just because of the heat and the moisture in there. So I just had that on the first night. So really it was just the coconuts that kept me alive. And then headed back, finally got back to a road, and about 20 people offered me a lift. A drunk guy almost ran me over, trying to help me as well. I think he got target fixation. And got back, and that journey was done. Just walked back in there, and I made my 2 sticks again, because I needed them out of something. I don't know what it was. I don't think it was bamboo. But at one point as well, then there was a massive log on top of these rocks, and that I was wondering where that came from, because there'd never been trees there either. But I got back, and that was the end of the journey. And as I said, I don't know if anyone else has ever done that, walked around the entire island like that. And I shot photos along the way, of course. And my next stop, I was going to head to Honolulu, Hawaii, and went over there. And the plan was, I was planning on staying for New Year's on Christmas Island, but that was enough. I'd spent 2 weeks there, and that was enough. So I continued on to Hawaii, and I was going to spend New Year's there instead. And again, I got that feeling, the happy feeling of all the products and everything, and civilization again. And it was good to get back into that. I went along the Nepali coast. I went driving along the Nepali coast on a boat as well, and in a helicopter. And that coastline is some of the most breathtaking visuals I've ever seen. You're flying into these cliffs and there's multiple waterfalls coming down into these green valleys and stuff, and just the rock formations again. And then I saw places where they shot parts of Jurassic Park as well. So all that kind of atmosphere, and then Waimea Canyon, and just driving around in different places just to see it. Yeah, it's a beautiful place again.